Hey! Silêncio! Câmera! Ação!
Thank you for doing this. It was we see each other last year in Lisbon Motorcycle Film Fest. It was
Yes,
amazing.
it
And
was a beautiful, beautiful experience.
yeah, it is when everything is together, seeing motorcycle films, everything is amazing, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah,
We love motorcycle films, right? And you and you presented your film there, Angels of Dirt.
I
It
did.
was, and you also made a tour, right? It was not just Lisbon. After
Yes.
you went to Germany.
I think I went to London and then north of England, I think. I went London, and then I was at the Deus Lodge of Heavy Leisure on the coast, in Bournemouth, right? I was in Bournemouth,
Yes, yeah,
and then Germany, and then Netherlands. Yeah, all because of, our friends who put on the festival. Everyone there who invited me over to share the film made it possible for me to go to Europe. Why leave when you're already in Portugal? It was
yeah,
beautiful.
for sure, for sure.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, you didn't have your bike.
No, I did not have a bike.
That was sad.
Yeah, I had a lot of T-shirts. Yeah, I had a lot of T-shirts, but next time the bike. Next time the bike.
Next time the
Yeah,
bike.
yeah.
And then you just go festival and festival with your bike. That
Yes,
that seems a dream trip. A road
yes.
movie. We
A
could
road
make a road
movie,
movie.
there were a lot of those at the festival.
Yeah.
It would be nice to just have a little screen and on my motorcycle and just drive around and play the movie. But you never know.
You
You
never
never
know.
know.
We should do
Yeah,
this next year.
yeah. Next year, next year.
And your film, one of the things of enjoy a lot your film was that is a true documentary about a life of a person, a great person, a great motorcyclist. And I think I remember we were talking, and you said that you started by accompanied her life. She was little when she started, so you just how that happened? Just
Um, well, I would go to the racetrack and watch flat track, and I really enjoyed watching. But when I was there, I would notice all the young girls on the 50cc motorcycles, and I was really intrigued and very curious about them. And so I came with a camera one day, and the first young person I met was Charlotte Kainz. So it was lovely to meet her, watch her race, meet her family, and meet all the people around her who were so welcoming. And it just kept going. I kept showing up with my camera and interviewing Charlotte and other girls, and then people who taught me about flat track and explained things like the dirt track and the speed and, the different types of motorcycles. So it was a lovely time to start the film. That was in 2009.
oh God. So you took you
Oh, no,
took
no.
a
It was in 2006. Yeah.
2006, even further away in time.
Yeah,
So so
2006.
so these projects of yours took ages, 20,
17 years.
17 years. It's
Yeah.
amazing. How can you control 17 years in a project? I don't know. It's kind of overwhelming
Yeah,
for me to think about it, right?
it is, but of course, we would say that you don't do them all, you're not doing it all the time because you have to raise money and then you have to work on other
But
things.
you think about it a lot of time, every day,
You
a
think
little
about it all the
bit.
time. Yeah.
Yes.
And I think because I stopped for a while and I felt guilty about that.
Yeah.
And I had, earned the trust of people in the community. And that always was like on my shoulder, feeling unfinished. And then, of course, I wanted to finish because the film became about the story of Charlotte, really. It took so
Yeah,
many twists and turns and became something that was way more powerful than I could have ever imagined.
that's amazing because when we forgot or we it's like something I didn't finish something, like it's like a little
Uh-huh.
thing I didn't finish. The ideas are coming up and I didn't finish. That's kind of an obsession almost, right? It's true
Yeah,
because
it is.
filmmaking is dealing with obsessions and dealing
Yeah,
with everything. I also heard that we talked last time that you made the music for the film.
I did. I did.
Ah, because you're a
Yeah.
musician, right?
Yeah. So my first love would be music. I was in bands and uh for since my 20s. I mean, playing music since I was very young, but it was very nice opportunity for me to be able to, bring my personal, like, my heart is in that film through the music, and of course the editing, but I I loved contributing, in that way to
Yeah.
Angels of Dirt. Yeah, so
Eh,
thanks for noticing.
of course. And also the thing is that did you made the music after the edit or while you were editing, or did you think
Uh-huh.
about it since the project took a lot of time, right? We thinking of these little chapters of all these little
Yes.
steps every time. How was
Yeah.
the combination between the music and the images? Did it help make the music and then find the images, or vice versa? How was this?
It was totally interrelated process for me because, I
Uh-huh.
would the film was cut to a 3-hour piece that was 25 sections, uh, and 5 chapters. So I felt like I needed to look at each section and see if it needed a musical personality or did it not need music? Was it more of a substantial piece of music, or was it something that was a bed, like an
Yeah.
underscore? So that came really after the 3-hour cut was completed, and then it just got shorter and shorter and shorter, and, sections move around,
Yeah.
when you're making a documentary film over that length of time, I had to incorporate a story that was that old,
Yeah.
because I was doing interviews in 2009 and I was still doing interviews in 2016, I think,
Yeah.
or 15 maybe. But yeah, so I would back and forth, with the music. Sometimes the music would come in and I'd have to find more images because I like the music.
Yeah.
Yeah, it
It's a
was a little
process.
nuts.
Yeah. How did you find that 25 you
The
said just
sections.
sections? Because you have a
Um,
lot of films, you have films from yourself, you have films from the family, you have films from the competition itself. So,
yeah. I think that with Angels of Dirt, the chapters, there was a chronology, right? It was a time moving forward, even though I took some poetic license. Sometimes
uh,
she was a little older, sometimes she's a little younger. It depended on the story. But there are certain sections, there are turning points in Charlotte's life, or there are moments where you're just looking at the history of Flat Track, or you're just looking at the grassroots community. So all of these were woven
yeah,
together in a way that hopefully, made sense as you're watching it for 84 minutes. And the audience, because flat track is not the most well-known sport, I
yeah,
had I felt like I had a responsibility, or I really wanted people to understand some of the history, but you can't go into all the history, then you're just gonna watch on any Sunday, then you're
yeah,
just gonna, like, there's that history, and then there's the history or the story of one little girl who turns into a formidable competitor as a woman, so
yeah,
that needed to be the thread. Sometimes I would take section 23 and move it. Oh, it works better at section 12. You have to I produce films as small vignettes. They're always
Hmm.
just these, breaths or these scenes. I think a lot of people do it like that, but that's how um that's how Angels came together.
For sure,
Yeah.
the people that's a puzzle, right? A very
Yes.
beautiful puzzle, and then you have to find the narrative, and then
Yes.
you have to fall in love with the narrative. The narrative should be poetic and not descriptive, right? So
Yes. Yes.
there's a lot of considerations, but sometimes when you go at your looking to every clip, going,
Yeah.
you feel a little bit lost,
Yes.
a lot
Yeah.
lost,
Yeah.
and then you just find that little needle,
Yeah.
and then you just go and you find the story and combination with the music, of course.
Yes.
Yes, that is
Yeah.
amazing. And also, how did you find the part that you needed to explain the flat track, right? Because
Yeah.
that was the moment when you find Charlotte, and when you trying to see what is this part. Did you know flat track before you start filming her?
No.
So
The
like that was your point of view. I'm looking to this, Charlotte. Why this sports happening?
Right.
Why? So it's kind of a learning curve as well for you, right?
Yes. Yeah, and it still is,
Yeah,
Pedro.
for
It
sure.
still is because I think that I float in and out of the community of flat track as a filmmaker. I think when I started the film, I didn't even know that I was a filmmaker. I felt like I was curious and people were agreeing to sit down, and I really didn't know what I was doing in any way. And flat track, the community back then in the early 2000s, it was very just very bare bones, very rich with interesting people. It still is, of course, but when I was really immersed in the group of friends that I met, it was uh very different for me. It was a very unique environment. I didn't understand it, but it felt like you were at camp.
Yeah.
Like you're like flat track, especially local amateur races. There's something that's very relaxed about them, but then not at all, right? Because people are competing on dirt tracks going as fast as they can, to win. But so many things came together after the track that which is called Aztalan. It is on the side of a highway. So when you drive from my city, which is Madison, to Milwaukee, you see it, and it's a
Yeah.
very curious landscape that you see. And so that's why I was first drawn to it, because I was see the motorcycle races. And so I made my way there and started watching, and it was you felt very I don't know, you just felt like you were onto something. That's how I felt. Like, what is going on here? Of course, it's all become very just normal to my life, but there's still, flat track changes all the time. The rules change a little, the pro circuit changes, the amateur, there's a lot going on. And, that's why I don't know whether you saw the press release, but I decided to sponsor
Hmm.
a young girl, a young woman who's 17, who's an amateur racer with our first Angels of Dirt helmet, because I felt like the story of Charlotte was just the beginning. I'm interested in amateur female racers and what they're about and how they're approaching their lives in the sport. So that's very new. We just announced it this morning.
Yeah, amazing. I saw it.
Hmm.
She felt. I think it's a very good opportunity to show the people that you care about the sport, and you care about also the female sportswomen's the
Hmm.
sportswomen's
Yeah.
and that's a very beautiful contribute, I guess. How did you find her?
Well, Paige Keck is a racer from Neenah, Wisconsin. So she lives about just under 2 hours north.
Yeah.
And I saw her first, well, I've seen her a couple of times, but I didn't realize it was her until I was attending the Charlotte Kainz Memorial Race. And she was the winner, of the women's Dash for
Oh,
Cash. And then people, I think I had told a few people that I was interested in finding someone that would wear an Angels of Dirt helmet. And that's a big ask, right? I mean,
Yeah.
the helmet is sort of like the hood of your car. It's like, what you're
Yeah.
driving, what's coming first. And
Yes.
so I got a lot of great feedback about Paige. People speak very highly of her, and so I sent her an email, talked to her and her dad, say like, would you be interested in, letting me get you. I got her a full face helmet for her pro events and then a motocross helmet for her short tracks. And
Yes.
so she's ready to go. And yeah,
Amazing.
it's interesting to see somebody want to do that, and it's a lovely opportunity for the story of Charlotte to go out in a different capacity that's very grassroots, and honestly, it's very difficult, and you know this, it's really difficult to market a film, right? And
Yes.
I felt like my approach, I feel more comfortable in a grassroots environment, in an independent environment. Nobody was picking up my film and putting it on Netflix. So today I just, I put it on YouTube for free and announced Page, and that will start to move the film around in a new way. So I just want people to just learn about Charlotte, see the film, and then learn about Page now.
Yeah, yeah, for sure, for sure.
Hmm.
And also build up a community around the film,
Hmm.
so you can achieve other chapters, right? Like,
Yes.
for sure.
Yes.
That I think it's the life cycle of the film, right? It ends always in a platform like YouTube or others platforms, right?
Yeah.
Speed is expensive from last podcasts is also like that. It is in Prime now, but you can find it on YouTube already. So
Yeah, well,
yeah,
we'll be doing 2 weeks for free so people can watch it, and then there'll probably be a minimal rental, just to help a little bit on this end. And then it'll go on Prime, and, you just start putting it out there, mostly so people can see it. That's the only reason why we do what we do. It's not, you know, I think that when I go to events and show the film and sell a bunch of t-shirts, then we end up
yeah,
getting a little bit of cash in our pocket, but it usually gets spent on more t-shirts. So
yeah,
yeah, it's,
it's true.
thankfully, if you have a project that you love and the story that you love, it's really, I'm very honored to companion it around,
Yeah,
why not?
for sure. Why
So
not? Of course,
yeah,
of
and with,
course.
like you said, this is a new chapter for Angels, and will there be another helmet next year? And how do you begin to build on routing back to a story that represents not only women in flat track, but it just represents flat track in a lot of ways, and
Yeah, yeah.
the strength that community has, I love it.
Did you start riding because you saw Flat Track and Charlotte, or did you ride motorcycles before?
I rode a Honda 400 Super Sport in high school, right?
Oh,
So it was a 76, but in high school that was 82. So wasn't that old a bike, And
yeah,
then I didn't get a motorcycle again until I came to Madison, and I had yeah, and I still have a KZ 400, an old like 79 KZ 400. So I don't ride it a lot because I don't work on bikes, and it rarely is performing at 100%. But so that's my connection to motorcycles. Honestly, yeah, I don't know whether I'll become more of a rider with a different motorcycle, but when you don't have a bike that you feel like you want to get on every day and it's going to start and it's very stable, if you don't have that, then you better have some friends to help you work on your bike all the time. And that's just, yeah, you know.
yeah. So
I saw
so
those bikes in Portugal. Those are
yeah.
amazing.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Here in Europe, the motorcyclists, the motorcycles are a little bit different, I guess. We have all the flavors, sports bikes, adventure bikes, naked bikes. between bikes, right? So we have a lot of stuff. But in Portugal, there's a lot of American culture on motorcycles. People like shoppers and like that. So it's kind of a thing that I would love to look at one day as well. But the question I was wondering is, since you are a biker and you made a film about a sportswoman, which was a very, very good pilot, how you feel the difference between a rider that goes on the street and a competition motorcyclist? How different it is?
Well, from where I see things, or I think they're so different. I don't know, most of my friends who race don't do a lot of street bike riding, like as far as flat track,
Yeah.
or at least I can't tell from Instagram. Then there's, friends that I see out in the woods that are doing either enduros or, things with friends. They go to faraway places and they're like adventure bike riders,
Hmm.
touring. But street bikes, where I am right now, I don't see a ton of people that I know who race on street bikes. But I think it's, and you'd probably agree, it's very like individual what somebody enjoys. I'm not a racer. Like I would never race motorcycles in my life. I
It's a little bit
like street
dangerous.
bikes, but I
It's
think that being a little older now, I would love to ride in the woods. I don't have a personally, I don't have a big community that rides that much in Madison, but I last summer I was in Europe or getting ready for Europe. It really, was a lot of work for me. This year, we'll see what happens in the spring. I'm starting to work on another motorcycle project, but I'm not quite sure where that's going to take me yet.
yeah. For sure, we'll take you to another beautiful story, I guess.
Yes, I hope so.
I
Be
hope
very
so.
interesting.
Yes. Last Lisbon Motorcycle Film Fest, I showed 3 films as well. It was amazing, and they were about social tourism in motorcycle.
Uh-huh.
They went to Morocco with 120 pair of shoes in each bike,
Yes.
6
Yes.
bikes, and
Amazing.
they were they were delivering to the people, to the kids. It was to the abandoned villages of Morocco. Amazing
Mhm.
stuff. The other project was Elizabeth Jacinto, a racer, Portuguese racer. She won the Dakar in 2001. Was an amazing person as well, very strong. And what I learned about that, the difference between a normal rider and a competition one. I look at her and I say the difference. One is, if you fall, you just get up and go again, and if you're hurt, you're still going. You know, she wanted to finish the Dakar. She ended up all broken at the end.
Oh
A lot of
gosh.
I know, concussions and everything. Everything was bad, and she never gave up. So that's the main goal of a racer, finishing, right? So
Yep. Yeah.
yeah, and also
Finishing or staying upright.
yeah, sometimes also when motor competition people ride, they don't go to the streets because of 2 reasons. One, they don't know how to control themselves sometimes, right? So,
Right.
and it's really too dangerous on the streets.
Yeah.
We
Okay.
have to be very careful. Very careful. If they've ruined their careers about something that happened on the streets, that's going to be a really bad move. So that's why they don't also go on the streets. Another question was, when you finished the film, you finished? you finished the film, and then how you started to. I have to go to festivals and how you find the way to communicate your film.
I with Angels of Dirt, I was, so lucky to be contacted by Rodrigo and Manuel, at the festival who said, we'd love to have you over for this opening night. So, with that comes, I'm able to physically be around people who are watching my film and talk about it and do a Q&A. I mean, it's such a lovely opportunity to bring people into the world of Charlotte, and the whole story. Submitting to other festivals. Some festivals you get into, some you don't. There's a whole like emotional roller coaster that you go on for a little while when you start sending your film out. I didn't really enjoy that at all. I didn't like it when people didn't want to play the film. Not that wasn't really my ego. I just felt like, well, my goodness, you're not going to be able to share Charlotte's story with anybody, So it was hard. Uh, and I have to say, I did the film mostly on my own, shooting and editing and music with some spotty help from amazing people, of course, and so many folks that donated archives and footage. But in the end, I found it to be really difficult, to do the I mean, I love presenting the film. I love events because that's the most fun, but I found that there's just a lot of self-imposed pressure to do a good job or to get the film out or to, find a deal, like who would distribute it, what's going to happen. If you're a single person or this, when you're working solo, a lot of the times it's daunting to figure out what to
Yeah.
do with your film. And so for me, it was really like a month ago that I was like, well, I'm just going to put it on YouTube. Like, what is the problem with doing that? Then people will see it and it will get out there because, I mean, already more people have like clicked on the link than I would have been able to find,
Yeah.
and so that is, and I think every filmmaker is doing things a little different and with some similarities, unless you get picked up. But even if you get picked up, your film's just going to go right onto a platform that's accessible anyway. People don't want to really pay more than 99 cents or $3 for a movie. They just
Yeah.
don't because, that's indie film. So I think that what's interesting is, I think that the hardest part is not the passion to make the film. It really is the resources, right? You have
You're right.
to, somehow balance a life and a film and raising money for your film if you want to, you know, when you have to insure your film, that's going to cost me $3,000 and so you have to figure out how you're going to get that money. And,
Yeah.
you know, so that was long-winded. I hope I answered your question. Was it
Yes,
more like,
yes, yes. Because I feel the same pain
yeah,
submitting to the festivals. No, I have lucky on Lisbon Motorcycle. I've been lucky on Lisbon Motorcycle Film Fest, and also in cinematic motor fests, I guess, in
yeah,
Modena, Italy, because I won a best short documentary there with 2 wheels and a crank camera, a film that I
mm,
made with Marina Cianferroni, and
mm-hmm,
also because I love people, of course. Some people, not all people,
yeah.
but some
Thank
people,
you.
some people I love, and sometimes I feel very interesting about their stories, like you did with Charlotte, of course,
Yeah,
and it's an opportunity because filmmaking it's a collaborative art, so as long as we need the story too, but then when we are editing and when we're playing music and trying to that's a little bit
yeah,
lonely job, but the rest is how can I tell this person's stories,
yeah,
how a person can be so true, s- so amazing sometimes, you know.
And sometimes the story, the project that I'm, starting to think about now is not so much about a person, but about the culture around racing, and not flat track, right? So I'm trying to navigate ideas that would tell a story that becomes part of, how we understand a certain history in contemporary through a contemporary lens or through a historic lens, without getting too heavy. I mean, it's not like a public television kind of, or,
Hmm.
like, and here we have like, right, PBS kind of film. But
Yeah.
I think that with Angels of Dirt and Charlotte, that was such a pronounced period of my life, and so many people who I know who are connected to Charlotte. Now to transition to Paige and her story, it can be a different story. It doesn't need to mimic Charlotte in any way. I'm very curious about a 17-year-old girl from a small town in Wisconsin, and why do you wanna race?
Yeah.
And, it doesn't need to be profound or, very deep, but just the sort of organic, part of her is really interesting. And there, of course, there aren't enough stories about women in sports, definitely more now, but
Yeah.
it's nice to throw more into the mix. Here's more stories, there can never be enough. So I enjoy that part of it quite a bit.
Yes, and looking for a cultural behavior is also how people can resonate with that, you know,
Yeah.
and also it's a bigger picture. It's not an individual; it's a sum of individuals,
Yeah.
and also sometimes it has to be with the geolocation of the place and what it things gravitate around it. It's very also how you say, um yeah, you go a little bit from the macro to a little bit more expand. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's really amazing. Like here in Portugal we have Miguel Oliveira, the best motorcyclist. We had Paulo Gonçalves. We have, and they all grow. Uh, they are a sampler of the most competition drivers that we have in Portugal, and there's no investors. There's no money for them to race. It's amazing to see how they find the opportunities and how they find the ways of getting to the highest um, state of
Level.
motorcycling
Yeah.
level.
Yeah.
Yes, it's amazing how
Yeah,
they,
and
they
that's
find it.
all.
It's a life. It's a lifetime. Like.
And it is, passion and friendships and creativity and artistry. All those things are inherent in what I saw uh, through Flat Track, that experience.
Mhm.
It was not about the newest bike, the best bike, the most expensive bike. It was about the craft of making a bike do one thing. I mean, in Flat Track, it's doing, one particular thing. And the, really beautiful friendships that are sometimes just found at the track. They might not see each other for 3 weeks or 4 weeks or 2 months or whatever, but when they're at the track, there is a certain comfort and connection. And I didn't have that as much as I saw it.
Yeah.
And because I was filming Charlotte and some other girls, I was welcomed in, like, nobody really paid attention to me, so that was nice.
Yes.
I was never asked, to leave, so that was good. Because I felt, it's kind of in my nature to feel a little bit awkward all the time, but I'm just like, "Well, let's see, let's just see what we get, or let's see what happens." I mean, Charlotte, as an interviewee, was very quiet, and it was always a nightmare for me to think, "Oh, how am I going to get her to talk?" And
Yeah.
you notice in the film, she doesn't talk a lot,
Yeah.
you know? that was it wasn't our tension, but that was my challenge. And I never, it's hard on me. I never was able to push through and figure out like how to extract, the dynamics of how she would articulate. But I think that that was in her racing and in her actions and in her facial expressions and her smile, how she carried herself. So Charlotte had a language that was communicated in so many other ways. And I know that now, but back when I was filming her, I didn't I wasn't mature enough to understand that language and let it be hers. And that
Yeah.
was a really interesting, part of my own personal growth. And it's still when you make films, or in relationships, right? How
Yeah.
are we understanding each other's language? And I am, that is still a challenge for me to, I mean, I can take a lot in, but I think my anxiousness with new environments or people, it can come through in the way of talking too much, or like I have. It's how we all manage our anxiety around things. So I'm learning.
For sure. Always,
I'm
always.
learning.
Always. And you just arrived at that places around her and just turned the camera on and
Hmm.
film and be aware what everything was happening. There was a lot of contribution from the people around her, right? They
Yes.
wanted to
Yeah.
tell the story as well.
Yeah.
Sometimes I stuck in a project because there's no empathy to the filmmaker, as
Yeah.
kind of.
Well, you have to. We have to learn. you know, I mean, I look back at my last two full-length documentaries, and the ratio of interviews in the film to interviews that I did is
Yes.
like, it was like this. Like
Wow.
maybe, 12 ended up in the film, but I did 47 interviews. And
Yeah.
so, to be, as you do new projects, to learn how to be discerning around that. You know, can I see the story before the story sees me? So I can sort of understand, all right, who should I talk to and what should I talk with them about? But I think that ultimately, the next project that I'm thinking about is a bit more um laid out. Like it would be the story of this, not I don't know. It's when I know when I'm on my way doing it, then we'll talk more. But
For
it
sure.
to think about the last two films that I did, and or three, and how would I approach this one? You have to navigate efficiently, else you
Yeah.
end up, you know, you're just gonna lose your mind.
Of
And you
course.
do anyway. You do
Yes.
anyway.
Yes, you lose it a lot.
You really do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think that's important. Sometimes when I plan too much, everything goes wrong. When I plan too much, everything
Yeah.
goes wrong. And then I will always go back to turning the camera, do what the guts tells me to do. Go with the flow,
Yeah.
and just be like Bruce Lee said, "Be water."
Wait, do you say be wanted?
be be water.
Oh, be water,
Be
yes.
water.
Be
you
like
know.
water, yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
So you have to go with the flow. You have to point the camera there, point the camera there. So when I plan too much, everything is it's like everything is too sketchy. I guess too
Yeah.
planned. It's not. It's not. Well, it's my point of view as well. But then everything sometimes how you deal with technical limitations, because that's also scares me a lot when sometimes a battery fall. I forgot some batteries, or I forgot
Yeah.
something important. I forgot to play to record the sound, or because
Yes.
when you do everything by yourself,
Yeah.
that's why the great production companies have a lot of people working, because then they are focused on one thing, and for sure,
Right.
nothing
Right.
wrong will happen with that.
Yes.
But then when you're working alone, sometimes I watch the clips, and this is out of focus, this is out of focus, this is out of focus. Sometimes oh, it's impossible. I didn't check the focus. Why? Because then you're just talking to the person, you're just so involved with the person, then you forget the technical part. And then if you
Yes.
just focus on the technical part, then you forget to talk about with the person,
Yes.
So
Yeah, that is the plight. But I think that indie film, real indie film, is going to um be an example of that. Like, that if you look at Angels of Dirt or my last film, all the footage is looks a little bit different cameras. I had a light, I didn't have a light.
yeah,
This one, there's one interview in Angels of Dirt where the autofocus was on. So every time like Leah would move her head, it would just like go into focus. Not with the way I edited it, you don't see that. But I remember when I looked at that, I loved that interview, and then I started looking at it, and I was like, what's going on with that? Oh, I obviously had like the autofocus, and it was focused on her nose or something. It's I think that when people, regardless of all of these, you know, opportunities or missed opportunities, people end up trusting us, and they sit down and they'll talk. They trust that you will take them on a journey that is, worth it, for them, or that's not going to humiliate them, in some
yeah,
way. Uh,
for
I
sure.
think I'm still working on how to extract or, intimate emotional footage in an interview, because part of me feels like it's not my place. Like I don't want, they're on camera. I don't want to, bring them into a zone of vulnerability. I wouldn't want to do that. I want to be respectful. I think
Yeah,
other filmmakers are trying to do that. Like, how can I get this person to cry or to, really reveal something? Um, yeah, so I'm still, it's funny, I'm 61, I'm still learning. Am I a filmmaker? I mean,
yeah. Yes, you are.
yes, but
Of course you are. For sure you
you
are.
know, that was not the intention, but great, it's
Yeah.
yeah, we'll
Maybe
see.
that's the difference between someone that tells a story and someone who is making a piece of journalism, TV
Yeah,
journalism.
yeah,
That's
yeah,
that's that's also a very large frontier, because
yeah, yeah,
document, and
agreed.
also now there's also another thing, which is filmmaking and content producers.
Right,
No,
right.
there's also
Yeah,
that, because filmmaking is telling a story. It's kind of poetic, it evolves you emotionally. It can make you cry without you seeing people crying on right
yeah, yeah,
on the image. But and you also, the documentary can change the point of view of a person about a subject, or about a story, or about, like in your case, the flat track and women racing.
yeah. And
But
I think, go ahead.
go, please.
No, with Angels of Dirt, I think many people who've seen it, and these are the screenings that I love. Well, I love screenings with racers, and I love screenings with non-racers
Yeah,
because, people who are racers see themselves in the film. And that's really lovely to see. They relate
yeah,
to so many things about it. And people who don't race are really astounded at what this is, flat track. But they learn about flat track through Charlotte. So their connection is with Charlotte. Um, and all the different audiences that the film has been seen by, it's just been, life changing. Not life changing. It's just really so meaningful to me, when something's meaningful, it does kind of change your life a little bit. I've just enjoyed them so much, and they're also bittersweet, I mean, people really develop a connection to the community and to Charlotte, so it's great.
Yeah, I think it changed when I saw the film. I'm a non-racer, of course,
Right.
but when I saw the film, I felt like, well, there's a good opportunity to. What I felt was I have to do what I love. I can't stop at anything because you have to
Mhm.
do what you love. And also, it was amazing to see the story that sometimes people forget to do, which is archive. Tell a story.
Yeah.
It's going
Yeah.
to be there. That person existed. That person had a
Yes.
story to tell. That person had a life.
Yeah.
That that belonged to a community, and that community, all of them help her to achieve something,
Yeah.
and that's a beautiful thing, and that was what I kept in my heart with your film.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I think that, it's really beautiful when we can have people around us as we grow up.
yeah,
It is,
you're not alone.
yeah, such a beautiful experience that we should all have in some way, whether through friendships or family or both, and she really had, and continues to have sort of this net around her of love, people that really, really care about her. And so, I think that, to witness some of that, her growth, her growing with people around her, and good guidance and humor, and, Red Bulls and hot dogs or Slim Jims, or, all the stuff that she liked to eat. So,
Yeah,
but I think, you know, when as a filmmaker, bringing my experience, which was very different, growing up and who was around me, and sort of how I grew up was so different. And, seeing how she was supported and loved and nurtured, and also her skill, she was just this really, like, she really knew how to race motorcycles,
yeah,
seeing that it was better, like, otherworldly for me. That's how it feels. So different from anything that I knew. So that also makes for a good film when you are sort of mesmerized all the time, you
yeah,
know?
yeah,
And yeah, and that can get in the way, or that can play a role, right? I mean, it just depends on how you're, maintaining objectivity, I think, when you're making a film.
yeah. Well, thank you. This was amazing. I love this
Oh, good.
conversation. Do you have a film that you love and you wanted to share? Like a motorcycle film, of course.
A motorcycle film. I was
Or
gonna say
not, I don't
Looking
know.
for Looking for Sugar Man, which is a really amazing documentary that I
Yeah,
keep
yeah, it
meaning to
is.
revisit. But, I think I don't watch a lot of motorcycle documentaries. The one that was the trajectory for me was On Any Sunday, because everyone that I was interviewing was talking about it. And so it became the Bible of launching into a motorcycle headspace,
Yeah.
and then that was enabled me to have Mert Lawwell in the film, because I emailed him or called him, and he's like, "Sure, I'll sit down with you." And that was a game changer for me. But so I would put On Any Sunday in the mix for sure.
Yeah, for sure. It is a great
Yeah.
movie. How do you think about fiction in motorcycle films?
Like Easy Rider, like,
For sure.
I think that, in American culture, and I'm sure European
Yesterday,
culture as
yesterday
well,
I
like,
saw, yesterday I
yeah.
saw My Motorcycle is a Vampire.
Oh, I don't know.
It's all,
Send me a link. I'll watch it.
it's
That's really good.
it's really, Z movies, something like that. It's amazing.
I remember, motorcycles are always additional characters in movies, right? They represent a mystique, or they represent a certain kind of character a muscle of sorts,
Yeah, yeah,
whether they're
yeah.
sexy or macho or they're
Well,
life-saving,
the first motorcycle film wasn't a motorcycle film, was an outlaw film.
What was it called?
The wild one. The wild
Oh, the
one.
wild one. Yeah.
Yes.
What's
With
the
Marlon
new one
Brando.
that was based on the book of
The
photography?
bike rider.
Okay.
The
Have you
bike
seen
rider.
it?
Yes. It went to Lisbon Motorcycle Film Fest.
Oh, wow. Oh,
It was
nice.
amazing. Full house,
Very
full
cool.
house. I think that's what I was trying to see. Why that film was full house, and
Mhm.
in nowadays. And then I saw that a lot of American culture of bikers and gangs and gangs culture and all those things were very strong in our culture recent
Mhm.
in the 80s, in the 90s, and a lot of people still see that if the film is about it, they go and see the movie, because it's a very strong cultural event. So one thing was on the other podcasts previous was, do we are do motorcycles love to be outlaws? you know does or even if you're not an outlaw and you want to be an outlaw, like, oh, I'll ride my bike because I can feel an outlaw, sometimes. I don't know what kind of thing is that, but you know
I think that in some cultural circles, sure. In others, the motorcycle is such an important mode of transportation for the whole family. When you
yeah.
go to places where you'll see 4 or 5 people on a motorcycle and then food for the week, or, motorcycles are an efficient mode, a simple mode, they can be, of getting from point A to point B. But then they've, the mystique of motorcycles, in the US and Europe. I mean, they always, why not?
Why not? Yes, because I think
Why not?
motorcyclists are rebel, free,
Yeah.
right? They don't go with the rules too well.
Yeah.
And they always try something different. I saw the curious case of Benjamin Button
Button, yeah.
and the trailer, and a part or something, or some part, I don't remember how, but it was when it appears images of motorcycle, him riding a motorcycle. He says, touching the environment, being as well as involved with the environment, feeling the rain, feeling the wind, feeling the cold, feeling the warm weather, feeling everything, feeling the earth, right? And then the other was people with a different point of view.
Mhm.
So I connect motorcyclists with people with a different point of view,
Yeah. Sure.
and also to people with a tendency of looking and feeling the environment itself.
Yes.
So that's also a very cool. So sometimes I think I was thinking about why people choose motorcycles for why people know how actors and actresses and directors choose a character that rides a motorcycle, right? When they choose, they always, we see, are they a spy? Right? They are a spy, they are running for something, or they are a criminal, they are escaping for something. And those images in action are very good.
Well, also motorcycles, maneuverable, there's an
yeah,
independence, you have to
yes,
have some agility. It
yes,
is, not everyone just gets on a motorcycle and knows what they're doing, right? So when a
yeah,
motorcycle is, brought in to enhance a character, it's usually in those ways where it's mythical or, exotic or, alluring or sexy, any of those things.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think that, people opt into some motorcycle communities because they want that sense of individuality, but they want it as part of a community. So it's
Yeah.
it's a little bit of both. Then you get communities of motorcyclists who all look the same.
Yeah.
Like they all have a certain so there goes the individuality because everybody I mean, it's all different depending on where you are, what you like. It's all, I love all of it. I
Yeah.
particularly, being involved in a flat track community, at least on the periphery, right? It's always there's something always interesting happening, and people are always talking about flat track,
Yes.
especially the people on the inside of the flat track scene. And so I find it really, entertaining and very interesting. Very interesting.
Yeah. I also saw a TV show. I don't remember the name of the TV show right now, but it was about a woman that had a husband. It's an Austrian series, TV series, Austrian, and he's a policeman in a bike, and she's a coroner, and I don't know, talking to. I don't know. I don't remember the title. I will send it, or I'll put it on the link to everybody to see it.
Okay.
And it was the series is about she's saying goodbye to the husband. The husband put it on his motorcycle and he starts, and then there's a wagon that kills him.
Oh,
And that's a bad story, right? But then she talks with the dead, talking with the dead. I think so. And then she decides that she doesn't want to sell the motorcycle. She decides that she wants to repair the motorcycle. She
okay.
decides that she wants to learn riding the motorcycle. And with that, she is trying to find who killed her husband.
Oh, okay.
So the
Put the
motorcycle.
link in. That sounds interesting.
Yes. So the motorcycle was a point of turn to this character, right? So
Yes. Yes.
it wasn't just a spy guy or a criminal. It was someone who finds a way on a motorcycle to find a new path, to find
Yes.
an answer, to find
Yes.
something that
Gateway.
she's not comfortable by saying
Yeah.
it was an accident. She's trying to find something. I will ride my bike, I will find the person who killed him, so that was a very good story at the end. Okay, so thank you so much for doing this. It was a very
Thank
good
you for-
conversation.
It was lovely.
Let's
Yeah,
keep in touch, and if
Yes.
you need something, please let me know.
Okay. Maybe I'll see you at the 11th festival, not the 10th festival.
Yes, probably the 10th festival of Losing Motorcycle is going to be epic, this one.
Wow.
I think so.
How many do you have films in this one?
I only finished one,
Okay.
but I still have 2 or 3 going on.
Okay.
Yeah, so let's see. I
Okay.
promised 10, but I can't. It's impossible.
Well, it was so lovely to spend time with you. Thanks so
Thank you.
much.
Thank you.
Yes. You were my one and only motorcycle ride in Portugal. So I will never forget the night. And you take good care and let's stay in touch.
Let's stay in touch.
Okay.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.